Hey everyone, what's going on? This is Mr. Riley coming to you live from the West Coast, the best coast, the West Side. And tonight we're back talking about Pali football. We could talk until we're black and blue in the face. This could be like an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour conversation, but we're not going to extend the conversation that long. We are going to just keep it within 45 to 50 minutes tonight. I have Coach Smith on the other line. So you know what? Without further ado, we're just gonna go ahead and hop in and let me bring in Coach Smith right now. What's going on, Coach?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
That's a loaded question,
Okay,
but I'm
listen,
doing great. I'm doing great.
listen. You probably are one of the hardest working men, definitely in Los Angeles, in terms of being a high school football coach. We all know what has happened. Um, how were you? How was your mental health, sir?
It's up and down, but I keep busy. I try to keep busy when I'm away from football, and my dog's getting bigger, and my kids are around, so I try to stay away from football as much as possible. It's hard to, but um, I've been it's been some long days, long nights, and long weeks, long months. So I think we're all feeling it, not just me.
Well, man, listen. If I had a hat on, I would tip my hat definitely, because, like I said, you are one of the hardest working men, and not only you, you got your coaching staff. We got the Pally QB Club, of course. We got the school. So, man, I think the football program is probably the catalyst for everything that is happening related to sports anyway right now, since we're back with football season and the school's back in session. So, woo! And we haven't talked, right? We haven't talked in quite some time, right, Coach?
I think since last year. Yeah, I think it's been since the fires for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
it's
yeah.
it's it's been a while. So it's one of those things where I'm just looking from as an innocent bystander, just at everything that's going on. So let's go ahead and start from the top if we can, and we'll work our we'll work our way back down to this current season. Just the devastation that took place back in January. Um, Initial thoughts when everything happened, when it happened.
Um, yeah, obviously shock and worry. I know a lot of at the time of the fires, I didn't know who lost their home or what was going on. It was a lot of questions, just like everybody else. The football program honestly wasn't on my mind at that time. I was just worried about the families and the homes and people being safe, and even myself, I was on the border of the evacuation zone, so I was trying to figure out if I need to get out, you know, get all my stuff and go head down to my brother's house, which we did the first night. But yeah, I mean, all my thoughts and prayers were with all the families and just getting texts and texting people I knew that lived in that area and making sure they were okay. And just hearing some of the families saying we had to evacuate or we lost our home. That we lost our home. It was just devastating to hear. And like I said, the last thing on our mind was football. We just wanted to make sure everybody was okay.
Yeah, I think that was the.
I can't hear you.
Okay, what about now?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. Major concern definitely were the families that live in the Palisades and just everyone who was affected by the fires. So again, just the recovery, the rebuilding process, it's still in motion, and so it's just still still crazy that something like
Yeah,
that happened, and we here in LA, we bounce back, and so hopefully families will begin to bounce back. I'm certain families have. Some have moved on. Some want to rebuild, and so. But the major thing that we have in common is the high school, where
yeah,
tons of kids go to school, get a great education, and then part of that is just the extracurricular sports and activities that the high school offers. And so, again, looking at the football program, a lot of loss was took place. So just kind of tell us what was lost in terms of the football program, and what have you guys done to recoup some of the losses that were suffered in the fire?
My office was burned down. Our weight room that was attached was burned down. As of right now, we don't have any storage to really keep anything. There's been a lot of help from organizations that are willing to donate stuff. We just don't have any storage to put it. The Chargers really stepped up huge, donating money, weight equipment. So we're just waiting, for school to open up or somewhere to kind of
Mm-hmm.
put everything that's been donated. So we really haven't been able to recoup a lot yet. So hopefully in January when the school opens up, we're able to have somewhere to put everything and get our equipment back slowly. But I, you know, a lot of people have been hard at work trying to get everything we need to get back to normal. So hopefully, once we get back on campus, that'll start happening. I don't see it happening this football season, but hopefully, right after winter break, that we will see something.
Yeah, getting back to normal. That's the new normal. We know what that kind of is: lack of storage, a lack of a consistent practice facility, and everything that comes with that. The sleds and some of the apparatuses or equipment that you guys use to kind of build and help the kids. And so, yeah, it's definitely going to take place slowly over time. But how have you guys been maintaining with, practicing and, the use? I know the sleds were a big issue. Do you guys have those kind of access to those equipment, pieces of equipment, even right now, or are you guys just kind of tell us what an average day in practice would look like for you guys right now?
Well, going back to February, we were not February, yeah, around March or April, I would say, we were at the Pacific Athletic Club using their weight room. So at the time, we only had about 20 kids, 15 to 20 kids each day that were able to come out and lift. A lot of the other kids kind of lifted on their own, so we didn't really have access to a lot of the weights. But we had at least a schedule. We'll be on the field 2 days a week, and then in the weight room 2 days a week. But the 20 kids that came out, it was the same consistent 20 kids, so they at least got some kind of weight program in the off season. Um, During the summer, when we were at Airport Park, we didn't have anything. I'm sorry, that was during the spring. I'm sorry, we didn't have any sleds, no bags, nothing. I mean, we were just out there, just kind of on our own, just doing whatever we can. We had a lot of cones, that's for sure, but not a lot of sleds, not a lot of weights that we could use. Once we got to Santa Monica College, they were very gracious enough to let us use all their bags, equipment, sleds. So we did get some sled work the first month of the summer, and then when school started and we got to UCLA where we are now, we're just kind of back to where we were during spring. No, just cones and a couple bags here and there. So we use each other as sleds right now, just pushing each other. So I mean, to me, that's the best way to practice. You got to play. You don't play against sleds. You play against other people. So, we just use what we can right now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, sometimes just pushing on each other is better than not having anything. And so, but yeah, and just, how you shared in just that moment, you know, um, going to the athletic club and then to, we said Airport Park or wherever it was, and then
Yeah.
going,
Well, sorry. We've actually been on 7 different fields, I believe,
okay,
since February.
you,
Yeah. So it's been a lot.
you said seven, right?
So we're at Belmar and Santa Monica first. We were at John Adams Middle School. So that's two. Airport Park 3. Santa Monica College 4. UCLA 5. And then I guess we would kind of bounce back and forth to Belmar Airport. So, we were at Virginia Park, which was another field. So that's 6. So yeah, so about 6 fields, and then we'll be back at John Adams starting next week in UCLA. So yeah, we're bouncing all over the place right now.
And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, just in and I used the word on the live on Friday at the first home game, being resilient.
Yeah.
If there is a word that Pally football can attach itself to, this right here is being resilient because you're practicing at 6 different places. My goodness, that's, you know, you got to worry about traffic, how to get there, times, who's going to show up, who's not going to show up. We got to have water. We got to have the Gatorade. Who's bringing the water? Who's bringing the Gatorade? And so it's just, and that's why I said, you are, without a doubt, the hardest working man in high school right now, trying to juggle everything. And then, we're not even talking about some of the coaches, because we got coaches, new coaches, we got coaches who left, you got kids who left, you got kids who arrived, you got your old system of doing stuff. So you just got a ton of things going on. So, again, hats off to you. You've maintained a straight face, and I'm sure it must have been difficult at times because, let me see. Venice is not dealing with this.
Right.
Fairfax isn't dealing. Nobody in our league, no one in the city is dealing with this except for Pally.
Right.
And so
Right.
one can kind of understand why, because someone was asking me the other day, why was there so much publicity at the game? And I'm like, it's football season, and the boys are being, yeah, they're being resilient. So kind of walk us through summer ball, if you will. Not necessarily, the activity that was, in terms of practice, but just the mindset of the players who remained on the team and just your plan to get them ready and focused for this particular season.
Yeah, I mean, we just tried to keep it as normal as we possibly could. The good thing at Santa Monica College was that we did have sleds and bags, so we kind of had a normal, at least practice. We tried to do as much power and body weightlifting as we could because we didn't have weights. We couldn't use the weight room, so we did a lot of. So the first hour we did a lot of conditioning, a lot of body weight circuit workouts, and then the second half we were on the field. So we had to compensate for not having a weight room, so we kind of lost a little bit of field time. Um, and I think in that first game, it kind of showed that we kind of got off to a slow start, defensively, and we kind of picked it up later on. But um, we just really tried to make the best of what we could. The kids. There's a lot of kids who had to take the bus, walk blocks, from the metro station to get over to Santa Monica College, and then do the same thing going home with their bags, their equipment. And to be honest, I think this year we probably had the most kids consistently come out. We didn't have a lot of kids, missing time. They were there pretty much every day. We had a good turnout all year long, and we thought we were going to lose a lot of kids. Obviously to transfers or just for whatever reason. And I think this is the most kids we've had since I've been at Pali. So, it's you know, it's, I could have done this by myself. Credit to the kids who believed and wanted to stay here and do this, and like the QB club, they worked their butts off trying to get kids signed up and get them transportation. And I mean, I could spend an hour just talking about how much work they've done to try to keep this program afloat. So it wasn't just me and coaches as well. Trying to get kids rides and all kind of stuff. So it's been a collective thing.
Yeah, no, it's and like I said, I've kind of watched from afar. Just my own son being a part of the coaching staff and trying to pique his mind, or I might ear hustle some of the conversations that he's having it related to Pally football. But no, I know it's been a tremendous effort, and so I'm just glad that the boys are back. They're focused. They're ready to play. And, I guess in a sense, would you say this is a way for them to kind of lose themselves and not think about the disasters that took place back in January?
Yeah, and I had a few parents come up to me and thank me for having workouts because it was those families that lost their homes saying thank you so much for having these workouts because it kept their mind off everything. And I can't imagine being a teenager and losing their home and not they're not working, they can't help their parents, and I just can't imagine what they're going through and then have to focus on school and football or other activities, and um, so they were just very thankful of just having this outlet for them to be able to come out for 2 3 hours or whatever it was and have this workout, get their mind off of it, and obviously they have to go back and deal with what they were, but you know, having a workout 5 days a week, being able to have that outlet was, I think, therapeutic for some of them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know there was a lot of controversy with folks, hey, are you staying? What you gonna do? You gonna go somewhere else, or, so, there was that conversation being had, and I was excited when you guys put out that video saying, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna stick around, and so I think that was something that was tastefully done and just really aimed at, letting the Pally supporters know that, hey, we're not going anywhere despite what happened. We're still going to play, and we're going to have another wonderful season of football. Now, unfortunately, some folks decided to leave, and some folks decided to stay. So that's a good thing, and I'm sure your mentality is the next man up. So can you talk about just the transition with folks coming and going, and kind of what you thought in your mind, looking forward to coach this 2025 football season?
Yeah, I mean, initially I didn't know what I was going to have. Going back again to February, I honestly thought the program was going to be shut down. I didn't know, especially with school being shut down, everybody being online, we didn't know when we were going to even come back in person. So there was a lot of questions from February to, I said, about the end of March about being on campus. And then they got the Sears building on. So at least that gave us a little bit of hope that at least we'll have some kind of school in person and kids could, stay. It helped the parents who didn't want their kids staying online. So at least there was some progress around that time. We did lose some kids early, but they say, we're just going for school, but we'll be back, next year for football. So that, each week, there was some doubt, and then we got some hope, the next day saying, yeah, we're leaving, but we're coming back, or, you know, when this passes, we'll be back for this, whatever their reason was. So at least it gave me hope to kind of keep going myself. And, we had a lot of kids transfer in too. I think we had more kids transfer in than we had leave. So, once I saw that going on, I was like, okay, this is something we can definitely keep building on. And, you know, that championship game still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And, I feel like we have the same team or even a better team coming back. And, these kids, I think, want to stay to kind of redeem themselves from that championship game, despite what was going on. So it's been a lot of positive with the kids and, working hard. Like I said, I haven't made any excuses. I haven't heard not a single kid, whether they lost their home or got displaced or have to, go to this field, that field, make one single excuse about the fire. I haven't heard anybody even say the word fire. So that's been a great motivator for myself, just to see these kids want to do it and not make excuses.
No, absolutely. And so, on Friday, we had a lot of, extra people, a lot of extra press and coverage. And so even one of the reporters, he was like, hey, can I talk to you? So I gave him a number. We chatted today. And he was just kind of concerned about just, my thoughts in terms of, from my perspective being associated with the program, what did I think, especially as it relates to last Friday's game, which we'll eventually talk about. He was just like, do you think the boys were focused? And he was also impressed at the non-use of the word fire during, from Mr. Kalima to Mr. Evans, Lorenz Evans, his pregame. I think I did mention it on my live, but and so he was just like, was that intentional? And I was like, it probably was, because the goal is for the kids to bounce back, focus on what's ahead of them. They've gone through a summer and a spring of thinking about and reflecting on, the loss and devastation. Now it's time to move forward. So would you say that the kids, to your point, would you say the kids are ready and focused and, just want to have a good time playing football instead of thinking about what happened back in January?
I think they do, and honestly, I think they get reminded every day they go to school. It's not the easiest place to go to school, so I think they're reminded every day. And I think any outside thing they can do anything they can do outside of the school, knowing that they're not on their main campus, I think they're just happy. And I think it was a great atmosphere on Friday. It's a huge crowd. I haven't heard them that loud in a while. Um, so it was perfect. And I was telling one of the parents after the game, it did feel like home. The weather was the same as it is in Palisades. It was cool. I had my hoodie on for the first time all summer. Um, the atmosphere. Everybody had the blue sticks going, and you can hear the band, the student section. So it finally felt like a normal time. And football season is back.
No, and that's exactly what I thought. I was like, hey, the security guards that we usually keep at the entrances, collecting tickets and all that, that was the same. When you come into the field, I think they called the young lady Pali one. Like she was at the gate making sure. So it really did feel like a regular game. And
Yeah.
so I was just kind of happy and excited about that. Personally, I was like, oh, what if somebody from Santa Monica staff is at the gate and they're not going to let me let me in? But it was good to see Miss Ross, the school nurse, I believe, she was at the front gate, and then just making it seem like it's a normal Pally football game, but it's just at a different stadium, a different location.
Right.
So that was super awesome, and I'm glad. And it was the Charter Bowl as well. So there's
Yeah.
that. You got the game against Granada Hills, who typically just runs their behind off. Um,
Again, yeah.
let's kind of talk about that instead of reflecting. Let's kind of talk about the game on Friday. What was the game plan for you guys to play, knowing that they're just going to run the wing tee or double wing tee or whatever the case? Student body right, student body left, up the middle. What was your game plan to kind of stop those guys and contain them from scoring? In the football game.
Our game plan was to be aggressive, corral, the little running back number one. We even had a little Mikey playing number one for scout team because they're about the same size, same speed. And to be honest, Mikey was killing us in practice too. So I was a little concerned that if they were doing that against our scout offense, what is a team like that runs the actual offense going to do? And I don't know how many yards rushing they had, but it was very concerning at some point.
It was a lot.
Yeah,
It was a lot.
yeah, I bet. I purposely haven't looked at it because I don't want to feel sick. But we already knew it was going to be a tough game. We just told them focus, be aggressive. We got to hit them. We got to play physical. Um, in the first half we didn't play that way at all. Second half we adjusted a little bit and they started to we just told them we need one turnover, one stop, and they can't stop our offense. We just need that one stop to put us ahead, and they got it. And I think they only scored one touchdown in the second half, so that helped us put the game away. But our game plan is always just to play physical, and we knew we had to play more physical on Friday. We just didn't execute it very well.
And then we kind of jumped ahead to the Charter Bowl, but also, the first initial game against Harvard Westlake. I guess we can kind of recap and talk about that game as well. And you said it was just the mindset of being back and playing football against Harvard Westlake. And so for me, during both games, it seemed like the defensive side of the ball needs a little umph because for them to score 44 points, that's a lot of points, and then
Right.
being able to trying to stop Harvard Westlake because they just ran too.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, I'm trying to figure out the question. The question is, what can the defense do to stop the run, especially with the two previous teams that we just faced, Harvard Westlake and Granada Hills?
We got to tackle. That's always something. We preach it, tackle, play physical. I think you're gonna see more of our other kids going both ways. come in the next couple of weeks. We'll have some people going both ways this week. You know, we it's I know on the outside looking in, we people say, "Oh, we got to play this guy more," but on the sidelines, when people are cramping or hurting, and if one guy goes down, it kind of throws off everything on the other side. So we have to be very smart about how we play guys both ways. But we're definitely going to do it. You know, I'm sure people are asking why don't we, but you definitely see some people going both ways more. But you know, defense is about a mentality and just a want, and you can't be afraid to put your head in there. That's just the phrase I'm using, not literally, but um, you can't be afraid to get hurt. You gotta get in there and make a tackle, be physical, and you know want to do it, and not expect people just to lay down because you think you're better than them. And our defense coaches were frustrated, and I think attitude's going to change on the defensive side next this coming week.
And I mean, for me, I like the way the balance, kind of happened because in terms of scoring, the offensive side of the ball on both teams for this past week, both of them were super dynamite. I mean, we had, we could hit you with the run. We definitely gonna hit you with the pass. So that right there was super dope. And then for Granada to run their, number 1, number 5, and number 12.
Yes.
student body left, student body right up the middle. But I was glad to see in the second half that they were able to come up with some good stops. So maybe, the team can remember and reflect on those good stops that they made against Granada and just continuously apply that during the rest of the games. Because to your point, Granada Hills didn't score that often like they did in the first half.
Right. And, we do have a young defense, a new defense. We've changed our defense from last year. So, it's early in the season. And, also you come into the summer, you don't practice the wing tee at all. We do a lot of 7-on-7s. We don't do any practicing against the wing tee. So it's one of those things where you get a couple days to learn it. You play it and then you move on. We're not going to see the wing tee again for the rest of the year. So, it's kind of hard when you have one focus all summer, leading up to the week before, and then all of a sudden you got to turn it on and play a whole different style. So, honestly, I give some credit to the defense for adjusting second half. It took us a half to do it, but we did it. And like I said, we won't see it again anymore this season unless some team in the playoffs. We might see them again in the playoffs. Who knows? But I think we'll see a better showing, against spread teams. And, even Harvard Westlake, they kind of ran I wouldn't say the wing tee, but they kind of went double tight and ran the ball. Like I said, we haven't practiced that all year. And honestly, we haven't hit a sled all summer. So, these kids, like I was telling them all year, we're behind every team in the country right now. So we have to make up for a lot of things that we haven't been able to do all summer. So I think everybody will see a different team in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and again, the defensive stops that the boys came up with in the second half, I thought were super awesome, super dope. And again, if they can reflect on that part of the game mentally, that's going to help their game in the long term, throughout the rest of the season. And so, I was just glad because I kept saying, okay, that's fine. If they score, all we just need is one stop.
Yep.
Because we know how to find the end zone. Jack and those boys, they were finding the end zone. And, I was personally proud of Malik, just him being able to step up and do his thing in the game. I think he had a couple of touchdowns.
Malachi.
Yes, Malachi Ross. Sorry about that. I said Malik. Malachi Ross. He was able to step up. And, he had some spectacular catches. And so I know you got, let me see, hold on. The new guy, the double D, Damari. Yeah. He didn't have a great game like he did the previous week against Harvard Westlake, but everyone else, they had a tremendous game. And so my thought was, if Pali can just keep scoring and get at least 1 or 2 stops, we're good. We're Gucci. and that's what really happened. The boys.
I've never coached a game where both teams didn't punt the ball one time, and I've never coached a game where the offense scored on every possession. We never got stopped. We didn't have punt or turnover and downs. We scored on every possession. So
And
I've never
that's a crazy stat too, right
yeah,
there.
yeah, I've
Not
never been
punting, not
right.
punting or kicking during the game. Every possession, you get a touchdown.
Yep. Yep.
Super dope. Super dope. So,
It's a
um,
fun game to watch offensively. Defensively, not so much.
hey, like I said, those two stops,
Yeah.
I think that's what propelled and helped the team to kind of focus in the second half. So I was super excited about those two stops because, like I said, we know how to score. All we got to do is get one good stop, and we're good to go. Um, so let's talk about something else, man. Pally is known for a good special teams situation. This year we have we have a student, or I'll say the special the special teams as a whole are coming together. But I like how you guys flipped it. You started doing 2-point conversions to counter their 2-point conversions, and so talk a little bit about. And I'm in no way being trying to demean or throw shade on anybody, but I'm happy that there is a special teams and folks are, putting their best effort. And the reason why I'm speaking about special teams because we've had always a great kicking game as a part of our team. So, talk about it if you can, just the formation of the special teams, and just even at this point how valuable they are, especially in this last game against Granada Hills.
Yeah, I mean, we had a kicker. He didn't show up all season, so I mean, all off season. So we tried out a few different guys, and then when he came back, he came in for a week, and then he quit the team. So we kind of had to throw somebody. We had to throw some guys in kind of quickly, right before the season started. So, um,
So it makes sense because without me knowing that background, right? Not talking to anyone in terms of hey, what happened? Now I know, and so the
right.
guy who's out there, he's doing his thing. I'm not going to mention his name. In fact, I don't know his name because I don't have the roster in front of me. But I call them, especially with the first PAT. I was like, look, that was the first PAT that could. If you think about the little engine that could, that was the,
I think I can. I think I can. Yeah, it
yeah,
was.
because it barely got over, but
Right,
it got
right.
over, right?
Yes.
And so I was just, for me, that was just a point of amusement to see, just it get over. And then you guys flipped it up and went to went with the 2-point conversions.
Well, that was kind of the reason why we went to two is because we had missed the second extra point and they missed their extra point. So I said, well, let's just go for two and try to get it up to I think it was 7 or 8 or something like that. So we're kind of just playing the match game at that point. And I want to keep kicking, but um, all the whole team wants to go for two. I'm just kind of like, it's not guaranteed, but um, I feel like the offense is moving. They couldn't stop us, so I felt like at least going for two, we have a better chance of getting points at this time of the game. So the kids want to do it, so I said let's just do it from now on. But I'll shout out the kicker Grayson. He stepped up when we found out we didn't have a kicker. He kicked for JV last year, and he said, "Coach, I can do it." Um, to his credit, he snaps the ball, so he has to run down the field on offense and then turn around, kick the extra point, then turn around, kick, do the kickoff, and then run down the field. He's exhausted, So, he stepped up in a major way. We have a new kid that's gonna come out and kick for us next week, a soccer player. So Grayson can retire his kicking shoe and be able just to snap for us. But I'm proud of Grayson the way he stepped up and kicked. He kicked well for somebody who just came out and kicked for a couple of days before two big games. So um, we'll see how the new kicker does, and hopefully we can go for one every time and not have to go for two.
Yeah, that'd be super dope. And shout out to Grayson. Like I said, I'm not trying to embarrass, but just just wanted to let the folks know who kind of watch the show and just want to get an update. And like I said, I was just like, look, you can be proud of a dude who now I have the background knowledge, but for me it looked like that maybe he'd just start kicking, and so for me, for him to kick a PAT last week against Harvard Westlake, and then to come back and kick one again this week, super
Right.
super dope, and
Yeah.
just those are the kind of kids you think of as football players who really want to win, and they'll do whatever it takes to win. So good for him, and appreciate his hard work. And now, hopefully maybe he can get back. But if not, hey, I still want to see that the PAT just barely scrape. It's a little funny thing, but I mean, you got somebody's out there trying something that they haven't tried before, and super dope. That's a super dope activity, and for him to, build up his confidence and add some value to the team as well.
And he was our special teams player of the week, so he did a great job. Yeah.
Absolutely, as you should, as you should. Okay, so I think those are all the questions, man. We could talk about Jack a little bit. I think he probably threw for over 300 yards. You had Harrison, who's running and catching. You had King Demetrius had an awesome game. Right, and I love that toe tap that he had at the end zone. I'm not too sure if it was a touchdown. I think it was a 2-point conversion.
2 point,
But
I think so.
yeah, he had a toe tap that was super nice. And then Malachi Ross, whose older brother Moses played a couple of years ago. So just to see, the family of it all
Right.
to come full circle. Folks not leaving; they stay with the Pali football team, and came out with an amazing win on this past Friday night. So let's fast forward. I believe this week we're playing Brentwood.
Correct. At Brentwood, yes.
At Brentwood. Okay. So if you've never been to Brentwood, I would say get there early. I like the field. I like just the way it looks. The only thing for me as a visitor, yeah, Brentwood, just add some more seating over there on the visitor side. And also, if you didn't know, Coach Smith used to coach at Brentwood. So again, third year in a row. Some of those, you might still have a few kids there.
I think this senior class is the last class I coached. Yeah.
So is it going to feel a little bit less emotional now that these are the last of the kids that you work with, or is it going to be about the same? Of course, we know that you want the win, but just emotionally, how are you going to feel going into that football game against Brentwood?
Uh, as far as the kid goes, I don't have that emotion anymore. They were freshmen when I was there, so and I haven't been there 3 years. So, but as far as the kids, not as emotional. There's still a few kids that I know, but like me and Jake are really really good friends. So that part of it, is always tough to play your, you know, before the game starts. It's tough to play your friend, your mentor, and like I said, he coached me in high school. I went to his wedding. I was not in his wedding, but went to his wedding. So we have a long history. But once the ball's kicked, it's going to be a rival game. So I want to win just as bad as he wants to beat me. And I still have bad taste in my mouth from 2 years ago and last year. So I'm more hungry than ever to win this year. So we won't be friends for about 2.5, 3 hours, and then once the game's over, as long as we win, we
You can
go
have a
back to
cold one.
yeah, we can go back to being good friends again. But I love Jake, but I want to beat him. So
Absolutely. Could
I've been playing James Brown the payback at practice. So the kids are gonna get tired of hearing that song all week. So.
Right. No, the Great Payback is an awesome song. In whatever situation. I think it was played in highest to lowest. I mean, anytime I hear it, I was like, okay, it's a funky beat. You got a super cool dude singing a song. The Great Payback, absolutely. Could this be the year that Pali defeats Brentwood? I know last year, I think it was within a matter of 3 points, was it?
Yeah, I think it was one or two. We missed the field goal in overtime. They blocked it.
Yes.
No. They scored on the last touchdown. Yeah, that's what it was. So I think it's
Yeah.
like 3 points. You're right.
Yeah. Could this be the year, Coach?
I think we have the team to do it. We have the talent to do it. We have the want to do it. Um, I think the kids are focused. I tell them every year, beating Brentwood is about discipline and the little things. They had a good 15, 20 minutes of conditioning because of discipline and leaving stuff out. So I'm really trying to get them to understand, talent alone doesn't, it's not going to win this game or any game. We have to really do the little things, not just on the field, but off the field. So I think we're gonna have a good week of practice, and I think this is gonna be the year. I don't want to guarantee anything, but I really do feel good about this game.
Yeah, it's going to be super, super, super exciting. Now, in reminiscing, and I see Big Devron Kearney, he's in the house. He says, "Great job, Pally. Keep it up. Thank you, Big Devron, for being here." And you know what? One thing I didn't do when we were talking about, some of the players, I kind of highlighted the receivers and the QB. Man, we got to give it up for Devron. He's been putting in some work. He's, the pound horse, pounding the ball. And so he had a couple of good runs as well, and also during Harvard Westlake as well. So last year we had what I call the three-headed monster with Shiloh and Devron and Harrison. Now we just got the Twin Towers back there. So, Devron and Harrison. So I look forward to good stuff from both of those guys. And I want to see Devron get in the end zone. That's what I want to see.
He scored Friday.
No, I know he did. I want to see. I want to see more. I want to
Oh
see
yeah,
more.
yeah. You'll see more, yeah, for sure.
I want to see more of Devron getting in there. But no, discipline is the name of the game, especially with Brentwood. They always seem, I'm not going to say a little bit more disciplined, but they seem like a disciplined team. So I like the effort of trying to, hey, you got to make sure you pick up your stuff. You can't leave it like this. Okay, you leave it like this, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. So if you do those things continuously, hopefully it should develop some discipline, right, Coach?
That's the plan. That's the point. So I think they got the hint today, and I left the field, and there was nothing on the field left. So hopefully this continues for the rest of the season. But I think they're starting to get in the hint a little bit. So I always tell the team, we're our biggest threat, our biggest rival. I don't think anybody can beat us. I think Pally's the only team that can beat us. So if we do the little things right, there's no team that can beat us.
Yeah, I like. I think I saw on a social media post. It was one team. They had played. They were the visiting team. They played, their opponents. I'm not too sure if they won or lost, but this team, the visiting team, cleaned up the locker room as if no one was there. I mean, when they showed the picture and I saw the caption of it, I was just like, how amazing is this? You come in to a visiting locker room, you got stuff all over the floors and in the lockers after the game because folks are excited either because they won or lost. But the picture that they showed in the caption was like, this is what the opposing team did do in the locker room, and it was super clean. I mean, it's like cleaner than it was before they got in there.
Wow. Yeah, that's discipline. And shout out to the coach, whoever school that is. I don't expect them to be perfect, but I expect the perfect effort. That's you can always have perfect effort, and you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna forget things. It's okay, but when it's a consistent basis, that's when it's a problem. So we're just trying to clean that part up.
Absolutely. And then now, what can you tell us about, without giving up too much of the game plan, what is your plan to not allow Brentwood to score a whole bunch of points?
Like I said, I think you're going to see more people going both ways. We're going to put as many athletes on the field as possible and give them different looks and just try to match up our athletes with their athletes and again play discipline. If we start doing our own thing and not listen to the game plan or try to do too much, we could lose. But if we stay within ourselves, play our game, we should be able to win pretty good, pretty easy.
That's super awesome, super awesome. And then the following week, I think we're at El Camino.
Correct.
And I'm hoping that I can make that game. That's, so when I went to El Camino, They didn't have lights. They didn't
Oh,
have
really?
lights. We had to play at Pierce College.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So I won't be able to make all of the games, and I'll talk about that in a second. I won't be able to make all of the games because someone I know plays for another team, and so I'm want to go check him out playing. But I'm just so anxious to go and see what it looks like at night. Even though I'm 56, I've been gone from there for about 40 some 40 some years. I want to see what a night game looks like at my alma mater. So I have that one on my calendar. Now, do you know anything about this El Camino team? Because I know in the past we would scrimmage against them. You know anything about this El Camino team, football team?
I think that was my first game coaching at Pali. I think that was the first. Yeah, that was my very first game coaching at Pali. We played them. Um, since then, I don't know anything about them. I know they were a little down that year, and I heard they've gotten better, but I've been focused on the first three games. I haven't really followed them much. So as soon as this Brentwood game's over, I'll find out as much as I can about them, and I'm sure I'll check the score Friday night or check Max Preps here and there. But yeah, I've been focused on Brentwood and the Granada Hills game. I haven't really looked ahead too much.
As you should. Those are the games that are very, very important coming out at the beginning of the season. And so I have two follow-up questions. The first one, now there's a rumor that because we didn't play our first original scheduled game against Dimely, I heard that there was little movement in the schedule so that Dimely game, I heard, is now our bye week. And so now the goal is to play 10 straight games. Is that correct, Coach?
Yeah. So since Diamond League canceled our game, that week zero became our bye week. So now, yeah, we have 10 straight games now. So originally our El Camino game would have been, I'm sorry, yeah, our El Camino game would have been our bye week, and then Mary Star, and then on. So we ended up just picking that game. We needed 10 games, so hopefully we can get some guys rest in the middle of the season because we plan on playing 14 weeks. So hopefully we can get some rest somewhere sometime in the season.
Absolutely. And then my second question is, how does it feel? And maybe I should have opened up with this question. How does it feel to be in year number 3 head coach at Palisades Charter High School? How does that feel, Coach?
Um, it feels good, I would say. I think just because of the circumstances, it's been a little tiring, exhausting, and not in a bad way. Just things are just different, and we haven't had a normal off season. So last year when the championship was over, I had a lot of plans to do this and that. It just obviously got derailed. So um, I would say it's just been different year 3 for me. I'm still having fun. I still love the team and everything. Like I said, it's just been different, and trying to make the most of everything, and hopefully we can have a successful season. But I'm still loving it. I'm buying more Pally gear, so I plan on staying here a lot longer. So, I see the JV kids, and I'm liking what I see. So, I think the program's still going to keep going up from here.
Yeah, so that's funny because I'm buying less Pally gear. But I think my oldest son is making up for it. But
Yeah.
I have to say, I did see, I think on an interview on Fox, the director of communications, he had on like a Pally hat with a dolphin and a P or something. That was a pretty super nice hat as well. So I might have to, I need to figure out where I can get that hat because, I like hats. I'm not wearing one right now, but I like the hats, and that one is something that I would definitely wear. Um,
Yeah, Annabeth just ordered a whole bunch of new trucker hats, I think, or some kind of hats. Yeah, so reach out to her, and she has a whole bunch for. She's the merch queen right now. So
okay,
you need to give from her.
I'm gonna have to get in line and ask, be like, hey, that hat was kind of dope. Speaking of new, the uniforms.
Yes.
Now, they look super nice. They remind me of, especially being the baby blue, kind of like the Jordan, but For me, they look more like the old Miss uniforms with the two stripes on the shoulder and the baby blue jersey that they're wearing. Why the change? Was that because of things that was damaged or lost during the fire, or just a change of a new direction in terms of new uniforms and putting out something a little bit different?
Uh, when I first got here, me and Rocky the AD, always we both, liked the colors. We always, said, next time next time we order new uniforms, we should get the baby blue. We didn't know it was going to come as soon as it did, but we always plan on having the black, the white, the royal blue, and then the new baby blue. So it was just something we both, just got excited about when Nike came and said they wanted to give us, new uniforms, and we both just like, hey, let's get the baby blue. And I think it's a change as well. We still kept a little hint of the royal blue in there. We still have the royal blue helmet, so I think it goes good together. So we didn't abandon it totally, but I thought it was just something new, change. The kids loved it. When I told them what we were doing, couple of them were like, and then when they saw what they looked like, they were like, oh, okay. I love these. So, it's just, we could always go back to the royal blue in a couple years whenever we get new uniforms. So we're not totally abandoning them. I know everybody wants the black, but I have a love-hate relationship with the black uniform. So we'll see about those. But no, we can always go back to the royal. But I love the color. It looks good on the field.
No, it does look super dope on the field. And let me ask you, are there any more uniform surprises that we need to be aware of, or have
Not
you
not
you
not at
you
least
can
not this season.
you can you can even wait for me to ask. You're like, no, that's all we got. No, that's
This
cool.
is
Okay,
it. No, we're lucky
okay,
to have these. So, like I said, shout out to Nike for stepping up and helping us out. So, it's
absolutely.
been it's been a nightmare with the uniforms as well. We still don't have the blue pants yet. Only half the shipment came, and so that's even been a nightmare. So
Yeah.
it's been a long 8 months,
Hey,
long
well,
eight
you know what? You
9 months.
guys are managing very, very well, and you've put a nice product on the field. The boys, and I would just say the whole football experience, from the boys on the field, the cheerleaders, the production that goes on, all the way down to the security and securing the facilities. And even this past week, we had a couple of extra filming crews on the field. You had reporters, and so it just feels good. Not to say that we really wanted to be in the situation that we're in, but I think everyone is embracing what has happened, and folks are looking forward to the new normal, whatever that might be. And so, I just think, again, I tip my hat to you and your staff for everything that you guys have done, that you're going to continue to maneuver around. I still get the Slack notification, so every now and again I'll open up, like, what Coach Donald talk about? What's the QB club talking about? But it's just refreshing to see that folks are not just going to sit back and mope, but you guys are actually doing something for the boys, creating some joy. And I know I'm talking a little bit too much, but I just want to put this in context. At my school, I am the restorative justice teacher, and so basically, if students have conflict, let's kind of help bring them together. But also under that, or that's under joy and wellness, and so part of my job is to bring some joy and wellness to the school, to the classroom, to the students, and for you are bringing joy and wellness to the football team, to the cheerleaders, to those who administrate the football games. And so it's a welcome thing to see how well oiled the football machine is. And I'm hoping that things can carry on through for the other teams as well, because again, football is like the major sport just about on every campus, from junior high all the way up to college. And so, Coach, just continue to do what you guys are doing. I know it might be hard sometimes, but just be resilient and I'm sure the boys will love on you even more. And hopefully, at the end of the season, bring home a little chip. What would
That's the
that?
goal. That's the plan.
What? How would you feel going through everything that we, are experiencing right now? Preliminarily, how would you feel right now if you could look into the future and it's like, oh, we going to the chip and we might do pretty well. How would you feel?
To be honest with you, I think about it every day, and just thinking about it on the way home, driving from practice, and thinking about where we're gonna, what position we're gonna be in, what division we're gonna be in, and I think I went to the Rams game yesterday, and I'm sitting there watching the game, just thinking about the championship game and what I would say if we did win and how I would feel. And to be honest, I teared up a little bit just thinking about it. So not just for me, just seeing the kids, how happy the kids will be, the community, the parents. I get choked up.
Alumni too. Alumni.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everybody. Yeah, it's been rough for everybody, and to have that joy and to hoist up a trophy at the end would just, I mean, it's really like a movie or a storybook ending. So it would be amazing to be able to do that and give that to everybody.
Well, Coach, you're on a good track right now. You're 2-0 on the season to get some worthy opponents, being Harvard Westlake, being Granada Hills Charter. Next up is another real good test, Brentwood, and so I'm hoping that we come out with a W, and because you have to envision. Some of the things that you want to come to fruition. And so just saying, oh, we'll take it game by game. But no, the top CEOs, they envision stuff and try to make it happen. So I'm hoping, Coach, that we could, that you and the team and the whole football organization from top to bottom, fans, supporters, cheerleaders, administration, everyone, I'm hoping that we get there and do really, really well. But you're off to a good start, and I just wanted to tell you that. And folks are looking at us. Folks are looking at us. And so it is going to be a storybook ending, whether we get to the championship or lose, or whether we get to the championship and win. Of course, I'm rooting for the win, as I know that you are.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the season and seeing what we can do.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I think we've kind of wrapped up everything. I told my mind, I said, okay, about 40, 50 minutes. But in my real mind, I said about a good hour would be what we need. And so we're right now, it just turned an hour into the show. And so I just want to say thank you for hopping on. We normally talk about questions and answers, and I'll throw some stuff back, be like, oh, okay, this is cool. But today I just wanted to go just off the cuff and just kind of get some real emotions and thoughts. And I think we did that tonight. We got some real emotions. Hopefully the supporters got some answers to some of their questions, because we don't have, talking about defense, we don't have the Jake Tri-Batches anymore, right? But we do have Jackson, right?
Yeah,
And
Jackson, Nico,
let me see, hold
Toby.
on. Yeah, I'm
It's
about
like
to say.
yeah,
So in my mind, I'm thinking about numbers. So I'm like, okay, 44 and 99. I know Tobin is 99. I know Nico is 44. So we got some players, and I think Jackson is 11.
yeah,
Yeah. So those are the guys that I know who I'm sure you count on as they're all our seniors, correct?
yes, yep.
Okay. So yeah, they're going to bring some good Pali defense to to the game, and so we can look forward to all that kind of good stuff going forward. Woo! All right, we made it through, Coach. Any last words? I'd like to give you the final words before we close out. Any final words?
No, I just want to thank everybody for the continued support. I said last year, but this year is really special. The kids have been working their tail off, no excuses at all, and um, you know, Brentwood's going to be a huge game for us. It's not a make or break, type of game to our season, but I think you'll see a different team if we come out on top this week going forward. So, just looking forward to the challenge. I think the kids are as well. It's going to be a good week of practice. It's going to be a good season. So it's going to be more more cameras everywhere. So it's just we're all gonna embrace the moment and have a good season. So thank everybody again.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we're going to put you in the green room for a couple of moments, and then I'm just going to close out the show, and then we'll be done. So, again, I thank you for hopping on with me tonight, and, hopefully we can do it again. I got to check my schedule. Hopefully we can do it again next week.
Okay.
If not next week, definitely the week after. Okay? So
Sounds good.
just stick around, and I'll close up the show. Appreciate you hopping on, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So there he is, Coach Dylan Smith, the head coach of the Palisades Charter High School varsity football team. One thing we didn't mention was the JV team. I see Coach Lofton is back out there again after I thought he was going to be gone, but he's filling in again. He's filling in the gap. And so we'll also talk about with Coach Smith just the members of his current coaching staff. And so we'll just talk about those guys who are really having a large impact on the football team so far this season. So we wish Coach Smith and both varsity and JV good luck as they face Brentwood. It's going to be a tough game, a good test for especially the varsity team. They can either go 3-0 or 2-1. I'm sure Coach will be happy with either one, but I'm also sure that he really wants that 3-0 at the end of the Brentwood game. All right, guys. Other than that, I'm done. I'm done. We'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. And, of course, this is Mr. Riley coming to you live from the West Coast, the best coast, the West Side. And the West Side today is talking about everything Pali football. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Peace.